Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I appreciate it. And lots of things to go over. So I'm just going to kind of dive right in and get started. We have a new PAT pre-op person starting on the 11th. She's going to be full-time. So she's going to essentially take over Brady's position, which Brady took over Mary's position when she left. So that's gonna be the backfill for that. She has experience in pre-op, PACU, and PAT. So, and she's a seasoned nurse, so I think it's gonna go well. So when you see her on the 11th, please welcome her.
Is that on the 11th to us or on the 11th?
That's to hospital orientation, and then she's gonna we'll kind of figure out where she's gonna be day to day that first week. And then for the first 2 weeks, she's going to be training solidly in PAT. Second 3 weeks, she's gonna be in pre-op.
And what's her name?
Francie Hogue.
Francie?
Francy Hogue.
She's fancy.
Yes.
I see. Francie's fancy.
Okay, so then next thing I just and these are in no particular order, just business that we have to get through. So I think there's some confusion about PACU in the evenings, when to LC and when not to. And so I just wanted to clarify for the people who are kind of new and not sure what to do in the evenings. I'm asking that nobody LC at night is the closers, not LC at night when there's ORs running. So there's been cases in the past where PACU nurses have had to run into the OR to offer a set of extra hands to, God forbid, but help do resuscitations, run labs, help moving, all that kind of stuff. So if you're here in the evening, there's ORs or even one OR running, please don't LC more than, we need at least 2 people here. Now, if all the cases are done for the day, there's nothing running in the OR, you've checked with house soup, there's nothing on the agenda, you can LC on call for the remainder of your shift. But I just wanted to get that clarified. And then, so during that time instead, please do keep busy. We, stock carts, clean rooms, work on house dreams, extra projects, that kind of stuff. And then the second source of confusion, I think, is newer staff that are working kind of the closing shift in PACU have been, if it looks like an OR is running and they're going to need the call person to come in, they're calling the call person to come in at 9 o'clock. And so sometimes we're getting people getting called in and then sitting from 9 till whenever the case comes out. So, and sometimes that's an hour and a half. And so please don't call in the on-call person unless there's going to be people to PACU in PACU. So if there's still cases that you're trying to work through, that person's going to be needed because you need to relieve yourself to go home, then please do so. But if there's a case in the OR with no real time frame to come out, please don't call that on-call person in.
But make sure you call the OR and let them know you're no longer here, because then now it's their responsibility to call in or call people, and they need that heads up.
Correct.
Don't just call house soup, because that conversation doesn't always get back to the OR nurse.
Right. Any questions about that? Okay, I'm just going to keep barreling through here then. As you may or may not know, EVS is currently without a director, and then they are down 5 people. So, and I think there's 5 people who have left, and then they're getting hit hard with COVID. So there's multiple people every day who are out because of COVID and whatnot. So. The thing is that we should be helping when we can, so if that means we can empty out a trash can, do so. But yesterday we had an issue where every single toilet in the whole department was disgusting. So if you see that kind of stuff or see obvious problems, please let me know and I'll talk to Joe, who's kind of overseeing that department. But please give them some grace right now because they are on the struggle bus. So so do the things that we can do to help them, but also if you see things like dirty toilets and obviously gross stuff, then
Well, I
please
think
let them know.
one of my biggest complaints about housekeeping and pre-op is the floors don't get mopped. And that's a source of infection for our ORs.
Mhm. So yeah, that's not gonna get better right now. I'm just saying, we can't institute things that they even haven't been doing right now while they're shorthanded. Once staffing is stabilized and they've got a director in there, then we'll definitely discuss that with them, but there's no way to
So
start
they're not
saying,
gonna come and mop our rooms at all.
I don't know that
They don't
they're
want
going
to.
to right now at all. I'm just saying, whatever they're doing with minimum resources. So I would love it if the floors got mopped every night. The only way to ensure that right now is for me to go do it. So
Well,
they just don't have
We
staff.
clean their rooms.
Yeah.
Like, the rooms are completely clean except for the trash in the floor.
Are they visibly soiled? Like,
Some of them,
okay. So if you see visibly soiled rooms, please let me know. I'll call Joe and he can.
Well, Nan's covered
Arrange
for
for that.
Carmen in the back right now, so I don't know who's covered for Nan and pre-op and PACU, I'm not sure.
That's
Or if she's doing all of it,
yesterday.
I don't know.
Yesterday they had to have I guess there's a supervisor person, I forget what her name is. She literally came down and cleaned PACU or pre-op and PACU yesterday. So anyway, I'm just saying, please. Give some grace and know that things are gonna be not great until they can get their new staff in, which I think is next week. I think is what Joe said. They're gonna get more people in next week. And it should be a short time of training them. So and then we have new people also. Is Brady on? Okay.
He wasn't one.
I'm not trying to point any fingers at anybody and this doesn't pertain to him, but it just made me think. We have new people in PACU and ENT instructions. I just want everybody to know that the ENT office almost never puts their discharge instructions in the Meditech. So they're not there when we print out, but they are putting some discharge instructions, hard copy in the chart itself. So just for those of you who are new in PACU, you can look for those handwritten discharge instructions and please go over those with the patient, make a copy of it, put a copy in the chart and then send the patient home with a copy. Dr. Ambrose cornered me the other day and said she knows of a couple of people who didn't get them last.
yeah,
So-
and that has their appointments, their follow-up
does.
appointments on it. It has their instructions on how to get their lollipop prescriptions. Like, there's
Yeah.
a lot of information in those for them.
Yeah, so if you don't see, actually, I'd say with any ENT case, go looking for it in the chart. If you don't see it in the chart, don't just send somebody home because chances are they've got some instructions. They're just not in Meditech. And then I just got employee review stuff from Amy, so she sent that all to me. I'm doing a training on how we're gonna do that this year. And then that's tomorrow that I'm doing that training, and then I'll be sending them out to everybody. So be expecting those. Last year, I had a lot of incomplete reviews. So people addressed certain things, but then left other things completely blank. What I need from you guys very specific, well, I need all of it complete. But one thing I need from you guys very specifically are goals. So spend some time thinking about some goals. And then the other thing I need specifically is if you guys score yourself a 4, please include comments such as extra projects or extra things you're doing that would make that score a 4. So 3s are you're doing the job the way you're supposed to do, the way that you're hired to. 4 is above and beyond. So I don't want you guys to miss out on a 4 because I've forgotten a project or whatnot. So if you'll include those things on there, I would really appreciate it. That would help me to score you guys fairly so that you can get bonuses, merits based on those things. Thank you. That would help me. Those have to be returned to me by September. I think it's September 30th. Yeah, your portion needs to be done and returned back to me by September 30th. And then I'll be doing my own portion of that and meeting with you guys individually, and all that has to be complete by I believe it's the first part of December. So through October and November, we'll figure out how we're gonna have those meetings. And again, I just want them to be meaningful. And yeah, so spend time on that if you don't mind.
Hey, Mary,
Yeah.
how do you want me to do it? Just come in and sit down at a computer and fight with it?
What do you mean?
I won't be back until about the 17th of October.
Oh, okay. Are you able to do that or not? Otherwise, I think what we can probably do is just postpone yours.
Can you
And-
email it to her personal email?
I don't know that I can.
Yeah, I don't think it can be mailed to me, so
So why don't we do this? I'll ask Amy how to do that. And
Okay.
I'll get back with you. I think what we may need to do with you is just postpone till you get back. You can complete your portion and then I can have my portion done, and then we can figure out a time when you get back to me.
okay, sounds
Okay.
like a plan.
Yeah, cool. Let's see. So this is kind of a touchy one, but it's been kind of being brought to my attention on both sides, meaning pre-op and PACU. I've had a lot of complaints from pre-op about PACU not helping them. And then conversely, I've had complaints from PACU about pre-op not helping. And so again, we've discussed this before, but I need everybody to really understand that we're a united team and it doesn't feel that way. And I think when people need help, number one, please ask for help. Because I think there's some resentment going on that you should see that I'm drowning and just come in and fix it. You just walked by, you saw that I was drowning and you didn't do anything. So what I'm asking is if you need help, please don't assume that somebody's noticed that you're drowning. Please specifically reach out and ask for help. Number two, if somebody has specifically asked for help, do it or find somebody who can. Or if you can't, then come to me and I can see what I can do to fill in. But and then there's been some discussions about, I called PACU and I was met with an angry, sassy voice. And so I'm just not going to call PACU anymore. And the same thing, I called pre-op to ask for help. I was met with an angry, sassy voice. And so I'm just not going to ask them for help. And that's not the way this department needs to run. We need to really take care of each other and help each other out.
One thing though, you have to remember when you call for help, that person is doing something most generally, especially like if the morning PACU person is in pre-op or the second person or third person or whatever is in pre-op. When you call over and say, we need Steve back, well, more than likely Steve is doing something.
Mhm.
So I can't just pull him out of there and rush him over there and let him drop off everything that he's done. So he needs to get to a place in that patient that he can hand that patient over to somebody else.
Mhm.
And vice versa. I know there's times when we call and we're dying. I try to plan ahead and say, hey, we're gonna need somebody to help us with lunches. I know if we just got our butt kicked, I know PACU's getting their butt kicked too. I understand that, but it takes time to finish up where you're at to be able to walk away.
Yes, I hear that, and I think that is true. However, I think that sometimes there's resources that you can grab somebody from here and go stick somebody here and relieve Steve, or grab that person and go there.
Well,
And
that
vice
is,
versa, PACU may be getting their butts. You know, you guys just got your butts kicked, and we know that's gonna all come out to PACU, but that doesn't necessarily mean we can't double up patients and let somebody go and get over to pre-op.
I do realize that, but you still have to document what you've done. You still have to, if you're in the middle of starting an IV, you still have to finish those tasks. You
Correct.
can't just say, sorry, good luck. You have to be able to tie up your loose ends to pass your patient off.
Yes, but I can go in and start an IV for somebody so that they can be relieved to go, and I would document that.
I understand what you're saying. But they can't be in the middle of starting an IV and walk away. They have to.
I understand that. Yeah. So anyway, I'm asking please to help each other out again. We can, and everybody just needs to be very kind to each other, answering phones, saying, I'm sorry, everybody's completely tied up. I'll get Mary and see what we can do. But don't just say no and hang out. That's very demoralizing, and it makes people afraid to ask for help, and it does nothing for the morale.
And also, I think that it needs to be, the charge nurses need to be talking about it, not
Correct.
just anybody pick up the phone and call over and say to Robin, we need help right now.
Agreed.
That needs to be
And that's why I would prefer the charge nurses walk over to each other and have that conversation. I know that's difficult as well, but I don't really want Robin handing off messages.
no, it's not fair.
That's
to
not
her.
fair to her, and it's not fair to the other people. So, are we okay? All right, on to the next thing. That's a good lead into the next thing, which is I need a PACU charge person. So if anybody's out there, please come and talk to me. Anybody that's interested, and it requires going through a preceptor course and all that, and we can talk about all the specific jobs that entails, but I need volunteers or people who are willing to maybe be a charge person, and we can talk about what that entails. But right now, we need that person while Steve's not there. That's that. Let's see, as a reminder, I really need those IR SBAR sheets and CPC SBAR sheets. That helps our productivity. We've talked about it again. People forget, I get it. But every day I have a PACU schedule for IR and CPC or both. And if cases are canceled, or they never came to us, please write cancel and put that on my door. Otherwise, I need to have those SBAR sheets match up to the people who are on that schedule. I am manually calculating our productivity every day, and that's a huge resource. That's really the only way I'm gonna know how many cases to add to get to accounting for us to get credit for the productivity. So if those are missing, it will hurt us. So please remember to do that. And then. Okay. Oh, as a reminder, if you guys, want PTO for Labor Day, please mark it in the book. I'll be adding those, to the, to your timesheets at the end of the pay period. But the sooner you can get those in, while you're thinking about it, the better off. Because I'm not just going to give everybody PTO unless they ask for it specifically. So make sure you get that in, please. I already talked about EBS getting hit with COVID. It's on the rise again. And the protocols for coming to work sick are the same as they were during COVID. So if you have any upper respiratory symptoms, you need to stay home and call OC Health when they open. They'll schedule you to come in. And you'll have to get COVID tested before you're allowed to come back to work. And so that's going to hurt us. They're talking about even if you feel like you have allergy symptoms, that's what a lot of people are reporting. I thought I just had allergies, they're COVID positive, and then we've got a whole train of people that have been exposed and we've got to go catch. So we're trying to get ahead of the game by please don't come to work, and just make sure you're wearing a mask. I mean, if you guys want to start masking up, then you're welcome to. That's not mandatory, but you're welcome to. But if you are sick, please don't come to work with any upper respiratory symptoms. And then I don't know if it's out there yet. I just got the correspondence today, but Dilaudid 0.5, the syringes, they ran out and they were having trouble obtaining those. So the pharmacy has compounded it and put it into 1 ml vials or cc syringes, and then but they're measured out to 0.5. They should scan and do all that just like normal, but it's legit, so don't freak out if you see that.
Yeah, you're like,
yeah. So just got that correspondence today as well. Friday morning, 7:45, anybody that does patient care needs to plan on getting checked off for the ISTAT machine.
I'll have that list with me at the meeting.
Yeah. So I already sent,
That's what
yeah,
I am. Like
I already sent out a list. So if your name was on that, it would be really beneficial to get that done during that time.
I think is she coming in? I think she said she was in a meeting here. Like
Yeah, at
around-
the end of the meeting,
yeah,
right?
8 or something like that.
7:45-ish.
In a legacy, and then we can afterwards.
Yeah. And then maybe if you guys need her to, I can send her to the respective units and you can kind of do it, at counter, in PACU or pre-op or whatever, let me know, but try to get here for that. That would be super better. Otherwise, you need to arrange a time with Mama Sue to get it done because she needs those checked off, please, and thank you. Tomorrow, fire alarm drills are going to be going off from 7 to 9. And I wasn't quite understanding what Carrie was saying, but it's going to be generating from those boxes. I forget what they're called. There's one in PACU. He was supposed to put some signage
There's
up.
sticky notes on them.
Good. And so if we touch that, if we silence it, if we turn it off, they have to start the whole thing. Start the whole thing over in everywhere. So please don't touch those. He said if it's getting too
Yes,
annoying
that's-
for patients or whatnot, please let me know and he'll see what he can do. For
Maybe we should buy
specific
some
places.
earplugs to bring in
Right?
for all the patients.
And I don't know how long it's gonna, how loud or long, but it's
I-
gonna be intermittent from 7 to 9. So,
That's the really high pitched scream. one.
yeah, I'm not sure it's the same one with the fire alarms.
No, it's not.
But, okay,
It's the little glass covered boxes that are on the
yes,
wall and
you're
it's
right, it is,
wheels.
yeah,
So.
that's, yeah, it's gonna be fun. And then we need to talk about, fourth quarter time off requests. It's gonna be a touchy subject, but, so here's the situation. Right now, everybody is on a set schedule. Everybody knows what their set schedule is, whatnot. So I was trying to fix one problem. There was a lot of unhappiness, especially in the PACU department, about having variable days off. And so there had been some people who chose to go to other places because they couldn't get a set schedule, because they never knew when their days off were going to be. It was really difficult for people. And so thinking about that problem, we went to set schedules. So now everybody is on set schedules. The problem is we don't have very many people to cover days off. So that's kind of been generated out of this. So Marnie would typically, people would put in their requests and Marnie would adjust people's schedule to fill in holes. And that's not working. So really the only people I have to fill in holes are people if they volunteer to do that. The pool staff, which is really Joy and Zandra and Jess. There's the flaky gentleman, just kidding, but you know, they just don't get over here very often at all. And then there's some people in ICU who have volunteered to train down here, and we're completely dependent on them low censusing. So we've got a problem. So I just wanted to give this as some background. For the months of October, November, and December, I had 56 days requested off. That's impossible to fill with 3 people. So, so I need you guys to help me think about this, because I don't know what the answer is. I think one is that for next year, we're going to have to anticipate and we're going to have to figure out something to reduce the number of requests off. For right now, I've narrowed it down and I have 32 requests off and that I'm actively trying to get filled. And so I've got a schedule here. Anything colored is available for somebody to pick up. This has already been through our PR, our pool people, and anything in yellow has been picked up. I still have a fairly significant amount. So either I'm going to have to start declining requests off. People are going to have to start moderate and, you know, figure this out. There's companies that only allow 5% of their staff to be on vacation at any time. Or people are going to have to volunteer to come off of their normal schedule and fill in holes. I don't see any way around it. So if you guys have thoughts, I would like to hear about it. For this year, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've already shut the schedule off. We can't do any more time off requests for October, November, December. So everybody who's on this list, I'm actively trying to get it worked out. These are not approved. These are what I'm trying to get figured out. So, and I think we're making some good progress, but I still need some help. So, and I'm waiting to hear from a couple people. So I'll continue to work on that. But going forward, we're gonna have to figure something out. I really don't think going back to a flex schedule is the way to do it. Because I still think people should be able to know when their days are off or in advance so they can make arrangements or go on vacation or whatever. But it's not working.
So one thing that I think that people need to do is when they're requesting some time off, they need to include their scheduled days off as part of that, because then you know, okay, they're including that. If they didn't request that day, then that's easier to ask them, can you work this day instead? You know what I mean? Because if they just assume that they have Tuesday, Wednesday off, and they're like, well, I'm just gonna request Thursday and Friday off because I already have Tuesday and Wednesday. If they include all 4 of those days in their request, then you know they're not available Tuesday and Wednesday either. But if they don't include that, they just want Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, can you work Tuesday and Wednesday? And I can give you
Well,
Thursday
and I
Friday
think
off.
people are doing that. In the book, I'm seeing like,
I mean, I don't investigate them. I'm just
yeah, no, I think
say-
people are doing that. What I'm doing, and that's what I condensed all the requests down to what really mattered was people being off on the day that they were, because that I have to actually get filled. So, but I think that, and we're just gonna have to figure out how many days a year people can take off. And then you need to figure out what's important to you and request those. Yeah, and I just think it's been really generous. And like I said, Marnie used to just beg, borrow and steal to make it happen. But that was before people were all on set schedules. And so, Corey actually made a suggestion today to write out all the holes in the schedule like Marnie did, instead of relying on home base to communicate that to people. And I'm happy to do that. My concern with doing that initially was we were in the middle of COVID and people were expecting the bonus when they picked up an extra shift. And I decided to take that down because it was almost like flipping the bird at everybody. I need you, but I can't pay you a bonus. And when we were going away from the bonus system, I felt that was a little mean in a way. But if it helps everybody to be able to see the holes in the schedule and where they might want to pick up some extra hours, or trade days or whatever, that would be great. I'm happy to do that, and I can post by the end of the week. I'll have that for the remainder. I'm not sure I have any holes in the schedule for the rest of this month, but anyway, I'll get that out soon.
I know, I mean, PACU and OR are much different beasts, obviously, but, I know that we only allow 2 nurses or whatever off at a time,
Mhm.
and the way it's worked in the past is that whoever gets it in first gets it. Although I could see that potentially being a problem in the sense of
No,
some
People
people
going.
maybe take advantage of, like, in a year and a half from now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want every Christmas or whatever. So I could see that being an issue, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think it is a good idea to have like limits.
And we have, but so here's my situation. If I have it, say I narrow it down to 2 people, which we've historically have been doing, and I have 2 people on every day for 5 days, that's 10 shifts I have to get filled. I can't get 10 shifts filled from the float pool.
We need more local staff. for
Mm,
sure.
We do need more float pool staff, and so, yeah.
I don't know how that magically happens.
I don't
just
know
that
either.
is
I'm
another
just saying that,
thing I'm just putting out there.
until we
Sure would be
come
nice
up
if
with
we
a
could
better.
do-
Dr. Morris, do you need
solution.
Brooke?
Nice to
Oh,
just
okay.
kind of view too, because I know they're not getting all their hours.
Yeah.
but
You
I
know,
that's
we
been a
tried,
struggle,
we
you
have
know,
tried.
Canyon View needs
I have
to,
borrowed it.
struggle, you
Yeah.
know.
begged.
they're gonna have to
begged.
have some directive about, you have to come over here
Well,
and
it
you
doesn't
actually
make
have
sense.
to do the computer.
Well,
Yeah,
it doesn't
that's
make
been
sense
the
that
big
they
deal.
don't get any hours and you guys are dying
I
over
know,
here and we're all
yeah.
the same like entity.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
It's silly.
I mean,
but-
I have offered my service to have them come in and I will teach them the computer. I mean, you know how easy the cheat sheet is that I have.
Yeah.
I cannot make it any easier for them. They just,
They don't
like,
want
don't
to.
wanna do
They
it.
have to learn something.
they're terrified that
with
if
the
they
computer.
work over here, we're gonna ask that they take call. I mean, I've heard it all. I've
Yeah.
heard it all.
Maybe that's a
And-
joke. How
Yeah,
I have begged, I have called and begged.
now that they're getting a different director, I think we might be able to work that out. a
I've
little
called
bit
and
better,
begged.
but-
I mean, I have literally begged.
just so that they-
I'm like, just come and do the physical stuff. Just come do IVs. Just come do SCDs. Come do shaving.
Okay.
That would be really helpful.
So that's something to start mulling over, guys. And again, I'd like to hear your input and maybe you have a different solution based on somewhere else you've worked on the past or how they did that. I would love to hear it. So, all your thoughts on that would be really great. And then, second to last, I sent out a message a while ago about the employee engagement survey. And I asked for thoughts regarding the 3 topics that we were the lowest in. I need to put together an action plan and about how we meaning I specifically, can improve those scores. And so I've asked for some feedback regarding that, and I need to put an action plan together quickly. Probably by the end of the week. If I don't hear any feedback from that, I'm gonna have to just go on what I think might be best and do it. And this is part of, working as a team instead of a dictatorship. I really want to hear your feedback and what's important for you in those 3 categories, if not 2 categories. But it just serves a reminder, I'm rewarded for doing a good job. I kind of like to know how you guys feel rewarded. Is really important for me to be able, and I know everybody feels gratitude in different ways. Some people it's money, some people it's a thank you card, some people it's lunch sometimes. And it's difficult because there's not a budget for this. And so we need to think about non-monetary reward system. I have nothing to do with you guys' pay. And so that's not gonna be something that I can do. So, but if there's other ways that I can help you guys make you feel appreciated, I really want to do it. And so I need.
So is this specific to you as our manager, not rewarded from the
hospital? This is in our department, me recognizing people for a job. And maybe that came across
Differently.
ambiguous on the survey, and people were answering it based on the organization. I want to have some recognition. Even still, I kind of like to know what that is too, if it's non-monetary. Some people had talked about there was I think there was some like monthly congratulatory type stuff. I can't remember. Kristen was talking about it. But anyway, if there's little kudos, I mean, we have the achievers. I don't know how well that's going. But anyway, I'd really like to have some constructive feedback on that.
Mary,
Yeah,
and maybe it's me and somebody can help me, but I've gone to the internet several times to find the information from that survey to read the results, and I cannot find that anywhere.
I can.
Has anybody else found it that could help me?
You know, it was sent out to me, individually, and I can forward that to you guys if you want. I didn't, cause, well, I was actually gonna print it, but when I printed it, it was so long that the words were like teeny tiny, would have had to read it with a microscope. But I can forward, if anybody's interested
Is it
in
just a
reading
link?
through, they gave it to me as an attachment. So I can send it to everybody if they wanna read through that.
I think that might
oh,
help people to be able.
I would,
I would love to see that too. just
Sure.
out of, like,
Overall, we actually, in our department, overall, we scored really high. I think it was 84%.
I would love to see that survey.
Yeah. So overall, we did really well. There was just some things and that those were the 4 ones that I picked out were the 4 lowest scores. So
Hey, Mary,
yeah,
I just wanted to say that I think that I did answer that on a more organizational base as opposed to director. And I just have to tell the people in PACU that I'm so appreciative because whenever I go over and help, you know, so many of them come up and like, thank you for your help. Because I continuously try to keep their, even if I'm just passing by, pick up beds, make beds, move them out of the hallway, see if they need help. And when they acknowledge that, I think, I mean, it makes me feel like, cool, that's good. They see that, you know, I'm there to help and support. So, I mean, that just of checking in, what can I do for you? Oh, you need me to go pick up a person from the waiting room? Perfect. I can run and go do that. I have 5 minutes to go get them and to bring them back to you.
mhm.
And help on team building and being there for one another.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And I know that the PACU department appreciates you coming and checking on them and doing those, especially those extra things in the evening when they're getting slammed. They've mentioned that. So thank you. And perhaps this was like, again, it was just misunderstood. It was an organizational thing. Cause they kind of use the term organizationally to mean sometimes your manager, your department, and then the overall organization. So it could have been wording, but truly, I've thought about this a lot over the last months and months since I've been. I know that that's an area of weakness on my behalf, and you know, nobody ever told me thank you when I was growing up. So it kind of felt like it just wasn't expected. And so I know that I struggle with that, and I don't want you guys to feel like I don't appreciate you. And I really want to be able to appreciate you in the way that's meaningful to you. So please help me. The second thing is, the other one was I'm satisfied with the numbers of hours I work each week. We scored really low on that. Like 45%. And I was really confused.
Yeah.
Because
That confuses me too.
I've been working really hard to get people. Now, this survey was taken when we were having to do some LCE. And so I'm wondering if that was what that was. And so first of all, I was really confused. I was like, are they talking about under hours or over hours? But so I just have a comment.
Cause I think that came out when.
Like in April
we
when
were
we were doing
using
some
so
housing.
many pool nurses. And we were taking so much more call because our pool nurses weren't taking call. Remember, we had that conversation where we were using them like every day. We had 1 or 2 of them.
Because we were short staffed. Huh.
And then we were.
And so you think that this may be reflected of being
I kind of
overworked?
wonder if it's not. when we
Having
were
too many hours?
call, plus we were getting our butt kicked. So
Yeah.
maybe more over than under because of the call.
Okay.
Cause it seems like that was about the time period.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's just good,
clarification
a good
anyway, I read the
feedback.
survey would help.
Yeah, good feedback again, but I'm a little perplexed by that. And so again, I just wanted to assure or reassure everybody that this kind of, I mean, this department is variable. It waxes and it wanes, it waxes and it wanes. I think if you kind of average out throughout the year, in the springtime, you're gonna be slow. We may have to do some LC. And by the end of the year, you don't want any more hours. And so I think it kind of averages out. So, but and that was kind of a lead into this. We're not getting any slower. So. Well, so I have all this stuff and it's really kind of interesting if you want to look, and I'll leave it out. But it shows, well, first of all, here's a big thank you to everybody because this is our productivity. This is for pre-op PACU. So our productivity in January, this is when we had the two departments put together. We were super short staffed and our productivity was, mind you, the goal is 98 to 105%. So 131% is what we were. So that means we were very severely understaffed. And so our productivity was 131%. It's supposed to be 105 at the highest. Then they split our departments up and then and they changed our statistic to what was really an unmeetable goal. And our productivity went from 131 to 90. And then in March is when I had my meeting with the CFO and Joe, and we got I got the statistic changed, and immediately that month we went up to 96.6, and then we've been right perfect since then. So this is a real testament to how well you guys are doing. We're staffed really well. However, this is our new figures for what we are today right now with surgeries. So as of right now, for surgical cases in September of last year, sorry, through August of last year, we did 4,353 cases. This year, we've already done 4,697. That's 437 more cases we've done this year. So it's busy. And so I'm taking this projection. So last year, I think Kristen and Jen and I had discussed, and we were anticipating probably about an 8% increase. And we presented that to the CFO and he said, no, I think 4% is more accurate. And right now we're 7%. So it's more in line with what we had projected. We've still got 2 more surgeons coming on board. Next is at the end of this year.
Next month.
And so these numbers are just going to continue to go skyrocketing. And so on that note, next week, I'm going to actively start searching for a full-time person. And so when I say full-time, I mean pre-op person. So we're going to get that and then sort it out. And I think I can justify it with all the numbers and how far more we can project for next year. So that I wanted to say thank you for helping me with the productivity, and then also good job in the number of cases we've been doing. It's insane. So the very last thing, we've talked about the incentive. I've been trying to get in with Amy Jordan for 2 weeks now and haven't been able to get in with her to make corrections to this extra shift incentive program that they presented. Jen and I decided this isn't gonna work for our departments. And this is really what Ben has put out based on something that they did in ICU at another hospital. And the floors are very different animal than we are in surgical services, so it's just not gonna work. However, I would still like to have an opportunity for people who want to get the incentive bonus to have it. And I think if I present Joe with a full schedule on all the days that we have openings, then I can easily advocate to change this so that we don't have to hire a traveler. If you may or may not know, Joe's pretty adamant against travelers, and I think he would rather have our own staff do this. So we're keeping portions of this and foregoing other portions. So what I can tell you is the surgery schedule that has been decided on the powers that be, they're gonna be adding extra cases that run late on Mondays and Wednesdays and then Tuesdays and Thursdays. So so what I'm doing is I'm putting together an 8-hour shift starting at 3 o'clock and ending at 11 o'clock. And so on the open days, so the days I have highlighted are the days that we're talking about. And if everybody wants to put their names on any shift that they're interested in, if we get multiple people on different shifts, then I'll figure out a way to make it fair so that one person doesn't just get to go in and claim every shift. Say, because, well, I'll just use Brady as an example. He's off on Wednesdays. He would only have opportunity to do this on Wednesdays. And it's not fair for him to put his name on every Wednesday and get it, because anybody else who may want to work on a Wednesday should have an opportunity to make the extra money. So, so that's the way I'm gonna do it, is if we can get at least one name on every day that applies, then I can present it to Joe. If I can't present him with a full schedule, we'll just go with a traveler. And they'll be working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we'll just have one person cover it.
How late are they scheduling cases till?
So they have to be, and this is the discussion, and it's yet to be, I mean, it needs to be enforced, which we have a surety that it's going to be, but the schedule, the cases will end at 7 p.m. So
How
we'll
many
have
rooms?
three rooms. They're only going to do the add-on cases in one room. They'll still have their emergency room, and then they have their other room. So we've got potentially 3 rooms. Well, we do have 3 rooms running till 7. Is that right?
Yeah,
But
because
those
right
are
now,
scheduled cases, right?
so
Till 7.
yeah, so right
Yeah.
now we have the capability of doing 2 rooms until 7 with scheduled cases. Technically, one is supposed to kind of be available for emergencies, but sometimes
Well,
it's
and they're
like
still
other-
talking about
yeah.
keeping that one for emergent only. And again, this means enforcing.
Mhm.
But anyway, so what I'm going to do is bring the person in early enough that they can help at the end of the day in pre-op. Help pre-op those cases, and then they'll float over to PACU and stay until those add-on cases are done. So that's how it's gonna look.
So that would mean that that person will be here till potentially 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, or even later.
With
if it
our
rolls.
night and our call person.
Correct. Yeah. So we need at least 3 people, if not 4 in
2
PACU.
or 3 already.
Yeah, in PACU, because right now we already have 2 and 3 people in PACU at night. And we need a 4th and really
Then into
maybe
the
a
night.
5th, yeah, so that's how that's gonna happen. So please hold.
Mary, can I ask a question?
Sure. Who is
So
up?
if, say I had on Tuesday nights, because I have Wednesday off, could I potentially come in and work for pre-op and then just hang over until 11 o'clock?
No, this only applies to shifts that are picked up, this shift specifically, so it only works to pick up an additional shift outside of your normal hours. That was one of the things that we discussed.
So it needs to be a whole shift, not a partial shift.
An 8-hour shift, unless the cases got canceled, in case the doctor has COVID and can't do it. You have to work
Cool.
until the case is done, yeah.
All right.
So I don't know it, so when I first saw this incentive bonus 2 years ago, a year ago, they threw it out, but they didn't explain it. If anybody's interested in this, it really is nice. So what we're gonna have to do, so let's just for fun's sake, Steve wants to work on a Monday, and because his normal week is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but he's thinking about picking up a Monday. So what this does is on the Monday that he works, that's the extra shift, he will be making $25 an hour on top of his normal base pay. And then $10 an hour on top of his base pay for every day that he is normally scheduled. So it turns into a little bit of money.
Is
and
it 10 or is it 15?
I think the email said,
It's 10.
I think the email said,
Sorry, you're right. It is 15 and then $25 an hour for each on top of your base pay. So
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't
sorry,
reading it
you're right.
incorrectly.
Yeah, I had to look down at my notes. So, so yeah, that's not bad. So the caveat is, there's not going to be any trading of shifts. So once we get this put in and we've selected who's going to be on, they're obligated to do that. I can't figure out the trading thing. So don't sign up for any day that you know you're not available to work. And then the only way you get out of it is with the doctor's note. So if you are sick that day, I truly don't want you to come to work. I'll start working to replace that person. But your pay for the whole week goes away. I mean, the bonus pay for the whole week goes away. And obviously you can't work your shift. So, and I'm gonna have to fill it with somebody else who should get that bonus pay for the entire week.
so is it gonna be on a weekly basis then now instead of a 10-week?
Yes, that's why it was not gonna work for our department. So,
Or any department during the COVID season or during a flu season or during a.
well, and the way that it's worded in here, it makes you, it sets people up for coming to work sick.
Yeah.
Because the incentive bonus isn't paid out till the end. And, I didn't want people pretending they weren't sick, coming in, they've worked all 10 weeks. And then we're talking about $5,000 on the line and they go, shit, crap, I came down with COVID. I'm calling, I can't call off, and there goes my $5,000. So
Okay.
I didn't like
Yeah,
that
that
rule,
was-
and especially at the end of this year, because who knows what's gonna happen between now and then. So yeah. What other questions?
Excuse me, Mary, so it's,
Yeah.
it's per week or per pay period?
Per week,
A week, okay.
but you don't get paid till the end, but it's per week.
And is
So,
that,
so like, so you can pick up. I mean, I don't care, and we'll again, if I have multiple people signed up for these days, we'll figure out who's gonna work. But right now, there's a lot of empty days, so you can put your names on days that you know you can do it. Please don't do it on, oh, maybe I can, maybe I can't. But you can potentially, I mean, I don't know who can based on their schedule, just off the top of my head, but if Steve wanted to pick up both those days every week, he could put his name down on them. But I think we're gonna have more people interested in it than that, and so, and again, I wanna do it fairly, so it will only apply towards that week that you work.
it's way better.
Yeah.
So the other question I have is that extra money going to be taxed as a bonus?
I
Or is it gonna
asked,
be taxed normal as payroll?
I asked Amy Jordan this when I first sat down with her about it, because I had that question. Many people have come to me with that question. She told me, and I verified this with Tammy, who has people doing this currently. It's taxed on your regular thing. It's not considered a bonus at the end.
Okay, I think it was also confusing.
It is, because here on one of these, it's called an incentive bonus, and then the other, it says extra shift incentive. And so I wanted to clarify that. Now, I'm not gonna, there's no way I'm going to get Amy to rewrite this. To specifically say, this is going to be taxed. So
Oh,
if you're not okay doing that, then don't sign up. I mean, I believe her when she tells me it's paid out as a regular thing. I've heard from Tammy that her staff is paid out according, it's not a bonus at the end. So, but I'm not gonna get her to rewrite this at this point.
yeah, I mean, it's just the way it's worded,
I know.
it's confusing to me.
And the other thing that's causing some people to balk again is termination and amendment. Community reserves the right to terminate this agreement or make amendments to its terms and conditions at any time with or without prior notice to the other party. If you don't like that verbiage, don't sign up. That would be really insanely stupid for them to do that.
Right.
And I've never heard them doing that. And I can't imagine that they would, but I'm sure that's a lawyer thing that they've had to put into CYA. So, that's what I know about that. And I have to present this to Joe by 2 o'clock tomorrow. So anybody who's interested in throwing their names down can do so. I've already given it over to PACU just because I knew they weren't going to be able to come. You guys can do it. If you want to see me in the morning to do it, do so. Or if you want to
Okay,
text me, I'm fine to do it that way, but I have to give it to Joe by 2 o'clock tomorrow. And I'm sorry. for
I'll
the
see you tomorrow.
on that, But Jen and I finally had to make a decision because neither one of us were able to get clarification about it. So again, I could present this to Joe and he could say no. So this is not any guarantee at this point that it's gonna happen. This is a counter offer, yes, if you will.
Okay,
Any questions?
I'll look into it tomorrow morning.
Okay. Any questions about that?
Well, how long is the incentive for? Is it until January 1st?
It's,
The end of the year?
it starts October 2nd and it ends on December 12th.
Gotcha.
And one of those days is a Thursday, which is Thanksgiving, so that's not gonna be applicable.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
Lynn, did you say something about it going to points for your health insurance or something? What were you saying in the chat?
Huh?
You on there? Yeah.
It was just something that the husband popped up with, either, like points towards our healthcare or maybe a dinner at Olive Garden or something like that,
Talking about really rewarding.
He was just throwing it out and I put it up there.
Uh-huh. So, and I like those things and I wish I could do that. And maybe
I know.
can, but that's not coming out of the department budget. That's my own pocket.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, I mean, obviously I can maybe talk about a gift certificate or something once a month, but I can't do a whole lot of it,
Yeah, because you're piggy in the middle.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to contribute to like a pool? If everybody in the department throws a couple bucks in a pot, then that month. I don't know how you would determine like that winner for the month. But I know a lot of us like, depending on how much.
You mind checking on if it's
Planning around it.
is it starting to get on top?
And
Pull it out.
I don't know. I think whatever we want to do on the side to do is we can do.
Okay.
And so I can't imagine any, I mean, obviously it can't be a payroll deduct.
Oh, no.
But if we want to do something like that, or maybe have a once a month get together somewhere and, or Steve's been talking about doing a golf team kind of a thing, or, whatever. I'm happy to leave that up, and I just want to make sure everybody knows how much I do appreciate them. And again, I think we all feel appreciated and in different ways. And so I like to.
Right, that's where, like if you do like a little pot of money, every once a month we throw $5 in a jar. And then at the end of the month, I don't know how you would determine it. I mean, those are all discussions or ideas.
Submit, like, I nominate this person for this month because of this, and then.
Exactly.
Like in addition to the puzzle pieces, everybody can.
Because
throw
the
in
puzzle
a-
pieces, I mean, they're great, but they're hospital wide.
I know.
So I think by listening to that it's more of an interdepartmental.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think so
Yeah.
too.
And again.
Yes, keep it interdepartmental.
Might have different rewards, so.
Yeah, we could do a Dead Daisy
January,
award.
We know Ben, I don't know, flowers or coffee or like, well, I don't drink coffee, so a Starbucks.
Yeah,
gift
doesn't mean,
certificate really wouldn't
Right.
like me feel value, but then, you just get to know each one of us, you can say, oh, well, Ilana got picked this month, okay, I know she likes this, or, I mean, this, something like that, I think that would really boost them around, and all of that, I think all of us appreciate one another, I mean, because we can't function without, PAT can't function without you guys, we try to help you guys, PACU doesn't function well in pre-op is free, so I really feel like we are a group, we're a unit, and.
agreed.
So
So
then it probably just keeps people thinking like, oh, wow, I should write that down and
Sure.
submit that too.
I think then you start looking for ways to recognize each other, which is really good, instead of going, oh, thanks, and then moving on. You
Yes.
can actually be more disciplined or proactive about actually taking care of each other. So anyway,
I worked, when I was in nursing school, there was a unit, that like. Cause they struggled with recognizing each other. It's not that they didn't appreciate each other, but they struggled showing it. And so, of course, their manager's like, well, you have to do that once a month. That's one of your jobs, being part of this unit, is recognizing a peer.
Yeah.
And I think they helped them get started. And of course, they did that, 3 or 4 months, but then
I saw it, years past and man, they became really good, really close knitted.
Yeah.
And the morale was really, really
Yeah, well, that's good feedback. So those are the kinds of things I'd really love to hear from people. And so if we can start thinking about that and really start coming to the table with some suggestions, that would be great. So,
I would take it.
here, you can have the cliff note.
You're welcome.
Okay, any thoughts? Anyone else? This went a little longer than we normally do, but I appreciate it. We have a lot to talk about, so I'm glad everybody came.
Can I just say one thing? And I've said it before and maybe I'm just a nag, and I don't even know if anybody's on here that it applies to, but I spend probably an hour to an hour and a half a day. Sometimes it's intermittently working on staffing, making sure we have enough people to cover IR, making sure that PC and us work together to trade staff if need be, to, beg Mary, to beg house supervisor to get float people. I would really, really appreciate if everybody, I don't care if you think you know your schedule, to please call the line, because I put extra information on there. I give very specific instructions on some days. And some days it's like, please come take one patient, then go to PACU, and at the end of the day, please go follow up with PACU from pre-op. And I feel like I spend so much time some days and I show up and then all the instructions that I have worked on throughout the night go to shit. But it's the heck. Actually, whatever.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like I don't even know why I spend so much time on it and beg other departments for help. And then I just show up and they're like, oh, I didn't realize you needed me or whatever. But I'm gonna probably more and more start pulling people that come in at 8 o'clock also to come over to pre-op and pick up a patient or clean a room or whatever. PC needed help this week or today, actually. They just needed a sweep through their department to make sure that they were okay, because they had 2 full rooms running and they're having some growing pains just as much as we are. And we depend on PC a lot. I know it doesn't seem like it from the PACU side sometimes, but sometimes we get their staff so that I can send our staff from pre-op to PACU. So I just would really appreciate somebody or everybody listening to it, so I don't feel like I've wasted an hour and a half to 2 hours of my day trying to figure out how we're going to make it the next day. So I'm not punishing people by bringing them to pre-op.
No. This is part of one of the duties of the charge nurses is figure out staffing. And so it's not something that I take lightly, because I know it's very difficult. It's not an easy job. And so, and people really do need to listen to that recording daily, because the information changes daily. So please do that. And yeah. And again, just on that same note, it makes me crazy when people complain to me about the other side, and I see it both ways. So
I just wanted to say about that, like, I think that sometimes it's hard when one side or the other is slammed and asking for help. It's sometimes hard for a person to come over and actually like take a patient, but it's hugely helpful. Like Shay was saying, just cleaning beds, taking out linens, taking out a patient. It doesn't have to be this huge commitment where like, oh no, we're pulling you for an hour and a half. And it's same going to pre-op. Like if one person's on the computer and a PACU nurse can come and start an IV, put on STDs, do the shaving. And that way when the PACU person needs to get called back, the pre-op person knows what's been done, because they are in the room doing the computer aspect of it, seeing what the PACU nurse is doing to help them. And then that way, as soon as they're done with the IV, they're like, okay, I'm getting called back over there. Peace out. You see everything.
I fully agree. I mean, it's those things, those tasks, things that you can do that make everybody's job so much easier. And sometimes, when I'm helping out in different units, that's all I can do. I can't commit to it because I've got a meeting coming up. I can't commit to taking a patient, but I can empty out all those linens and clean these bays and go over and do those cords or whatever, clean that room, put a new bed in. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it helps.
Can I add to that?
Sure,
too?
of course.
No, no, it's, you know, same with, PACU come to pre-op going to PACU. I know there's been times I've gone over, to help out with lunch release or whatever, and I'll take a patient, and then people come back from lunch and they don't relieve me to go back to my unit. They just leave me there and then go take another patient. And it's like,
And that's,
it's, you know, if I take over for a patient, if that nurse comes back, they need to take that patient back. I can go relieve another nurse. They can go to lunch. When they come back, they take that patient back. If the patient's gone, fine, but don't just leave the pre-op nurse with the patient and assume they're just gonna finish it off.
fully agree. 100%.
And I think that also will help if we can have a charge nurse to charge nurse conversation, say, I can give you this nurse for 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Make good use of that, or what, you know,
Yeah.
that way they're, okay, well, she can't take a patient, but she can task and do discharge instructions on this patient, or she
Or
can
I
come
can-
over
or
and
you-
start the IV and put the CPAP
Yeah.
on. And
Having an extra set of hands is monumental.
and Corey, that's been a problem for a long time.
Awesome.
Thanks for that feedback, Sandra. I think it helps sometimes to have an outside
Outside eye,
perspective
yeah.
too. So, but fully agree. Hey, thank you guys. I really do appreciate you. Hope you had a great Labor Day.
Hey, Mary.
Yeah,
I just wanted to throw a thank you out to somebody that I think every time, I know I'm not in PACU that often and stuff, but it's one of the people that I really think goes above and beyond, and I just feel it when I'm there. And even though she's kind of new and stuff, is Tori. I think that Tori has kind of taken initiative to really be aware of everything that's going on. And I actually, when I was over there one day, say, are you doing charge now? You know, because, and she was like, oh no, I'm just, you know, kind of, she was just making sure everything was going well. And, you know, she kind of made the comment that, we know, I'm not, you know, maybe not at that level, but I'm like, you know, charge is just about doing what you're doing. And so I just wanted to throw, if I had one of those puzzle pieces, I would give it to Tori, because I think when she's in PACU, she's very much multitasking and she's very aware of the big picture. So I just wanted to say, a few times when I am over there, I see it, and I really, great.
She's
So-
stepping into the role really nicely,
Very-
and I think it would be great if you grabbed one of those forms and filled that in and give it to me, and I'll get the puzzle piece for her. But
Okay.
I think that, and this is why I'm asking for help with a charge position. I don't think it has to be somebody who's had the most number of years in nursing or most number of years in these departments. It's about recognizing where there's an issue and knowing how to put people where the job is, basically. Yeah, and so I think she's definitely.
And I wasn't,
You can do that.
but it's just something that when
The same with our flow pool people, though. Sandra and Jess, like, just go
They're-
out of their way to, like, run back and forth, and yeah, without any even asking or complaining, they're over helping out, and I really appreciate that, so.
there's a very,
Jen Craig's got
is
something
there-
on there.
Jenny, can we have the old Daisy award?
There's a Craig, what's that called? Cricket.
Oh,
Cricket
is
printer.
it
You
Cricket
could
or
do a
Circuit
monthly
printer? We could do a monthly sticker that you can give to a person
Here.
you appreciate.
Oh,
We
you
can,
did
I
read the
don't have
chat.
one.
Yeah, I don't have a cricket.
Your camera on, Jenny.
What? I just figured out how to unmute the dang thing. Oh, yeah. It's on a freaking phone and it's just difficult.
Don't you just love modern technology?
No, really, I don't.
Me neither.
Yeah. Well, come with your ideas. I've got open ears. So let me know what
I
you
know
think.
those things sound stupid, but sometimes the smallest way of saying an appreciation is the best.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Well, and thank you, Jenny. I mean, she took it on herself to go over and get some of those puzzle piece forms and throw them in PACU. So I don't know. I've only worked there for 3 years. You would have think I would have come up with that.
And our schedule's already changed for tomorrow, so be prepared.
Oh,
for it.
good.
And it's a 7 o'clock start.
Yep.
Yeah, I got warned already then.
Yep.
They've been calling.
I
me.
told her to try to be here for a quarter till, and yeah, 6. Perfect. See, maybe a few minutes early to eat lunch, but others. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good night, you guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Good